Critical Siege theory number 7, and this is theory less in the way that I'm trying to set up a system to explain something, and more in the way that what we're looking at is going to be theoretical, okay? So taking a look at primary gadgets here, I looked at secondary gadgets previously, but that was in a more objective sense. I was looking at which operators had which primary, or rather which operators had which secondary gadgets available to them, and then I did a little bit of theory crafting stuff, like if certain things were changed in regards to those, how it would affect the game. But here I have a hypothetical that I want to go over, hypothetical scenario. Okay, I posted this on Reddit, so I suppose I'll post the link in the description if you want to go discuss it there. You can also, I mean, post in the comments what you think about it, but there's already people that have expressed their opinions there and might more easily respond to what you have to say. So, right, what am I looking at? I have it written down there, but let's just read it out. Assuming all else was equal, what do you think the best primary gadget in the game is? I'm defining best as the one that would see the most play. And what do I mean by play? So I have a few qualifiers down here to explain some of the things from that initial description. Assume a high or top level of play, including the competitive map pool. So we're mostly looking at like pro level play, but I suppose it could also be like, you know, sub-pro, like Challenger League and T3, or even, maybe even like high ranked or whatever, or what are they called? Go 6, or is that, no, Go 4s, Go 6, Go 4s, or like anything like that, because a lot of those teams are trying to emulate pro level play. So again, mostly looking at pro level play, but you know, you get the idea. Okay, all operators are 2 speed, 2 armors, and they have the same hitbox, so I guess we can just say everyone is a recruit. For all intents and purposes, a 2 armor, 2 speed recruit. All attackers have access to the same weaponry as one another, and the same thing goes for defenders. So attackers and defenders don't have the same weaponry as each other, but all attackers have the same guns, and all defenders have the same guns. And we're gonna ignore the Gon 6, because if attackers could bring 5 Gon 6s, it'd make things a little bit weird. Okay, any attacker can take any attacking secondary gadget, but the team can take at most 2 of any one secondary gadget. Same thing for defenders. So if you like, you can bring 2 shields, 2 C4s, and an impact on defense, or whatever. You can bring 1 of each of the gadgets, except for 1, because there are 6, and you can only bring 5 operators. Then on attack, you know, 2 frags, 2 smokes, and a stun, whatever, however you want to do it. So this also influences the hypothetical a lot. Like it changes the system of the game in addition to the other things we're doing. So it's not the most neutral environment, hypothetical environment to ask this question in, but I don't know. I just tried to come up with something that might help it, because, right, part of the reason you take a lot of some attackers now is because they have frags. Like, you take Sledge because his gadget's good, but you take him over Buck specifically because he has frags. So if you give anyone access to, you can take whatever gadget along with 2 sets of frags, it changes things, but also it should change it to help this scenario, right? Because then you get to just take good gadgets and the good secondary gadgets, okay? So you can still only bring 1 of each attacking gadget, and I forgot to mention they're also defending gadget, same thing. Like, you can't bring 2 sets of Toxic Bay, the smokes gadgets. You know, you still only get 1. We're not changing that. And then we're going to ignore any passive operator abilities. And at this point, I believe it's only Aruni's punch that's a passive, but before there were things like Ella and Zofia resisted each other's stun effects, and Zofia could withstand, and maybe some other stuff in the past, but we're going to ignore all that. And then for Montaigne and Blitz and Clash, we are still going to assume that the shield replaces their primary gun. So, like, technically their shields all have abilities attached to them. Like, Clash has the slowdown electrification effect, Montaigne has the shield extension, and Blitz has the shield flash. These are their, like, ability on top of the shield, but we're going to assume that you have to have the shield to do it, and the shield still replaces the primary gun. And you do not have the primary gun in, like, your secondary slot, so you don't get a hip fire in an assault rifle or something, right? Okay, so I think that pretty well covers all of it. There are a couple things that, like, feel weird if you think about it. Like, if you put Blackbeard's shield on another gun, I mean, there's no reason it can't go on another gun, though. Like, Nomad's air jab launcher is attached to her gun, and it makes it so you can't run a vertical grip for some reason. But we are going to assume that that doesn't have any effect. And like Callie's thing attaches to her gun and Buck's thing. Okay, so all these things that are attached to their guns, we're just going to assume it doesn't matter, and still the gadget works functionally the same as it did, regardless of them having another gun or whatever. I hope that's all of the supposition out of the way. What do I have up top? These are all of the operators I put X's next to I wanted to discuss. It doesn't necessarily mean I think they're actually candidates, but I think pretty much all of them with X's are worth at least a little bit of attention. So let's start on attack. There are a lot more X's, as you might notice, on attack. I had a lot fewer on defense, and then I thought, no, I should add a few more because there's some I do want to talk about. So let's start from the top here. Sledge. Sledge is already one of the most picked operators now, and he's one of two that can do a specific job, and that is the quote-unquote soft breach role. You can open walls and floors and ceilings with explosive rounds like from Zofia or Ash, but you're very limited. With Sledge, you get to hit 25 surfaces. With Buck, you have like 20 something shotgun shells. So they're the only two that can do it nearly indefinitely. So between Sledge and Buck, right now Sledge gets way more play than Buck, and it's because he has frags. Buck used to have frags, he lost the frags, and now he doesn't get played anymore. And I think in my theoretical scenario here, given all the other equalities and whatnot, I think Buck's skeleton key is getting picked more than Sledge. So I'm going to eliminate Sledge from the running here. It's a very powerful gadget, but I think if we're talking about which is going to be the top one, and I'm going to do a separate one for attack and defense, like I sort of forgot to specify that originally when I posted it on Reddit, but I want to do it separately for attack and defense because it's much more interesting. If something played 90% on defense and 70% on attack, like it's two different conversations to have. Okay, we're eliminating Sledge. Thatcher, maybe I don't like to talk about him so early, but I mean, he's there. So it's very powerful. It's like by far the most banned attacker, maybe the most banned operator at different times. Attack or defense, but right, definitely the most banned attack operator for like a very long time now. And his gadget is powerful, but it's not strictly the strength. It is the fact that he's the only one that can do what his gadget does, barring Callie, which does a similar job, but at the cost of having a really bad primary weapon. But Thatcher just makes things easy. Like it enables less skilled teams, I guess, to open walls more easily, but and then at a point people just get used to not playing with him in play, so they ban him anyways. Regardless, I mean, that's especially true in like ranked, but at pro play, I'm sure it even happens as well. You still gotta, there's a lot of operators that you gotta take into account, as well as several maps to take into account, so sometimes it's just gonna be easier to play how you're comfortable, and that might be with Thatcher banned. So I don't think Thatcher is going to be the number one. I think that certainly you have to also take into consideration, again, like I was saying, there's no that very good competition, but I think in this hypothetical scenario, since I'm saying Callie can have another gun with the same gadget, I think that Thatcher has a lot more competition. Thatcher it's kind of more versatile in the way that like you can throw an EMP on a ceiling above whatever you need to clear, and it'll disable it for a while. Whereas Callie needs to be a little bit more precise. But Callie, you can blow up deployable shields, you can blow up Evil Eyes, you can blow up Banshees. As far as I know, it works like a normal explosive, except for it does like a lot less damage. But it just blows things up and it goes through walls. And so I'll get to Callie when I get to it. But I don't think it's Thatcher. I think the EMP grenade is going to be one of the most used, but I don't think it's the most used. And now we get to the hard breachers, which if Thermite was still the only hard breacher in the game, this wouldn't be a very, very interesting question for the attackers. It'd be Thermite, but you have to bring a hard breacher in almost all situations. The only time it doesn't really come up much is on Coastline, but with the rework, it comes up more now. Teams are making sure to bring a hard breacher more. But okay, so I guess I'll just talk about all the hard breachers together now. The one that I think is okay, let's eliminate one first. Maverick's not gonna be the most picked. It has its use. Like you'll bring it when you specifically, if you know that you need to open electrified hatches, if you know that you need to clear something off an electrified wall or whatever, and you don't have another good way to do it. But it's mostly for electrified hatches. You can ban Cade or whatever, but if Cade's in play, Maverick's in play, You can bring Maverick, and it's a good way to deal with it. It takes time and a little bit of precision to do well, but you bring it. Anyways, we're going to eliminate that, and then I don't think it's Ace either. Maybe. If he could maybe blow up 2 hatches somehow, like, I mean, I guess if he had 4 of these, or if it only took, he could somehow split up one, so that he could blow, you know, one, I don't know. So some way he can blow up 2 hatches anyways, right? Part of the reason he doesn't get picked nearly as much anymore as he did before, well, he still has the great gun, right? But he doesn't have a throwable anymore outside of his gadget. He doesn't have the smokes that he used to. Now Thermite has them, and so Thermite has access to stuns or smokes. So for that reason, it might, like, Ace could be better, I guess, in the given scenario. But I think I'm going to eliminate Thermite as well. Habana is just the most versatile hard breacher. And it is helped by the fact that she is a 3-speed, and no longer in this scenario will she be 3-speed. But her gadget is just the most versatile. You can use it to open walls, not as effectively as Thermite or Ace, but you can split them up much more than you can them, because you have access to 18 pellets and you can shoot them in multiples of 2, 4, or 6. But also the fact that she can destroy 4 hatches and then still have 2 more pellets. Her pellets can also be used to destroy like black mirrors and castle barricades, stuff like this. It's just a very, very useful gadget. So I'm gonna keep it in the running. I'm gonna go up here now. Ying. It's just a powerful gadget that you know, maybe under different circumstances would see more play. It sees some niche play. Some teams really like it, and it's powerful. But you know, it's not like a real candidate here. Zofia. It's really strong because some people might forget that not only do you get the 2 impact rounds, but you get the 2 stun rounds, making it very versatile and powerful. You can use the 2 stuns to clear not only roamers, but also to clear ADSs and my magnets and Aruni gates. Clears roamers or just gets intel anyways, because it has that air burst mechanic where if it gets near an enemy, it auto blows up. So it tells you. So if you're unsure if somebody's in a position, it'll tell you that they're there, and it'll stun them, so it's really good. But I'm going to take it out of the running because it's not top tier, but it's a really strong gadget to be sure. Dokkaby, somebody mentioned on Reddit how one of the things holding back Dokkaby is the rest of her kit, and I wouldn't say the rest of her kit in its entirety, because she does have a Gon 6 or a secondary submachine gun, and she does have access to stuns or smoke, which is good. But I mean, what the person was meaning by the kit certainly is the DMR or the bot. Like, you don't get an assault rifle, and then it's not a bad DMR per se, but DMRs are just kind of bad. It could be stronger, but yeah, if you had an actual good primary gun on Dokkaby, her pick rate would go up substantially, I imagine. She's excellent for roam clearing, excellent for executing onto sites, and there's also a little bit more utility that I mean, you don't think about too much. Like, if somebody is relying on Maestro or Echo to stop the plant, which they usually don't, but if they did, like, it knocks them off their camera or their drone or whatever. Like, he can't zap you when he's getting phone. Maestro can't, and Echo can't blast you with his Echo drone while he's being phone called. Echo used to not be affected by this, but he is now. But of course, you can still have somebody that's dead, or yeah, I guess have somebody that's dead look at him. And actually, I'm trying to. Right, Dokkaby, it doesn't affect dead players, right? So if they're on a camera, it won't kick them off or anything. And then there's also the fact you can also like hack the cams is also Dokkaby's other ability. And maybe I should count that as a passive, but I'm gonna count that as part of her gadget, part of her little Nintendo Switch looking thing she holds in her hand. I'm gonna take it off the list though, but I do think it's a very powerful gadget. So I want to go past Nomad for a minute. I want to talk about Flora's and Osa. Osa is like really ridiculous right now, and especially in pubs, and especially not always at the highest tier of play, because it covers it's just like a cheese guy. I almost just don't want to talk about it because like it hasn't been fleshed out that much because it's not in pro play yet, and I kind of imagine it's going to be changed in some way before it makes it pro play, but maybe not. I don't know. Maybe just it's unclear how to deal with it in a lot of situations, because I mean, I guess you can blow it up with impacts or nitrocell. I've been told. I haven't like strictly tested that, but my understanding is that you can destroy it that way and you can punch it, but I think it needs to be addressed the way she can just walk around with it. Like, I just don't think that was really, I mean, I guess it's intended because there's no way they would have let that go through, but I don't know if the way it works now is really the way it was wanted, because it covers so much of her that that you walk up and then you just crouch and you put it down, and at no point are you exposed to getting killed unless you mess up your angle, or there's like, you know, there's 2 people or whatever against 1 person. You just get to deploy it. It's really annoying. I'm gonna take it off for now. And now we're down to it. We're down to these 5, and I'm just gonna come back to them. Let me narrow down defenders before I make the final cuts, because I'm thinking it's something like this are the top 5. Maybe not Flores, but the other 4. Maybe Flores though. We'll come back to it in a moment. Yeah. So Smoke is really good, and so is Mute, and Mute just got nerfed. The jammers, now it has, instead of a cylindrical area of effect going straight up, it's a spherical area, and I don't know, maybe it went down some amount, I'm not sure before, but now it's just a sphere around it, so it'll go above and below, but it doesn't cover the same area above, because there's now holes on the, you know, so-called top left, top right, or whatever, even though we're in 3D space, so it makes it a little bit weird, but you get what I'm saying. Like, if you put the jammer on a wall, the top on a double wall, the top left and the top right of the wall are still exposed to be blowing up by, I guess maybe hard reach charge and maybe thermite if you can repel on it, but certainly by Habana and probably by Ace, and maybe even a single wall. I'm not sure how it works out. Like, the top corner still might be vulnerable. And so that was a lot of the reason Mute was so powerful, his absolute ridiculous versatility, because not only did Mute deny drones and deny some attacker primary gadgets, but it also denied others in the way that it kept walls from being open. Like, if you get phone called by Dokkaby, it stopped that. It stopped you from being lion scanned. Jackal walked through the area effect. It messes with him. Like, it mess with Twitch drone, which is also a drone, but it's also Twitch's gadget, you know, things like this. And then also, if you just put the jammer on a wall, you can no longer open it with Habana or Ace or Thermite. You have to deal with it with Maverick or Thatcher or Cali or an explosive, or go below and shoot it or something, right? So take this into account. Like, no doubt Smoke and Mute have very powerful gadgets, but it's also their kit in their entirety. Mute has access to a C4 and Smoke has access to a deployable shield, and they both have access to the M590 plus SMG11 combination, and that is the most important thing that we need to note when we're taking these things into account. They get to bring a shotgun, a pretty good shotgun too, to make a lot of rotates for their team, because they have a secondary gun that is, you know, usable as a primary gun. They can use, you know, it's not always the easiest to use, but you can certainly use it. DPS-wise, stat-wise, it's incredible. It does have the small mag, and the recoil's not the worst, but it is a bit unruly, to be sure. I'm taking Mute out of the running. I don't think it's Mute, and I think it was a lot closer before, but after this most recent change, no, I'm going to leave Smoke for now. Tachanka, the other area of denial defender, along with Smoke, but I don't think it's Tachanka, because it's still harder to use, even though they gave him 14 of these fire grenades instead of 10, and I think they made the radius bigger, and I think maybe they do more damage, and also what's the other thing? The number, the damage, the radius, oh, and the time that they're active. I think all of that might have got buffed, or at least 3 of those, but it's still not as consistent as Smoke. Smoke has that like really big area, and you get to just throw it really quickly. You have to switch to the thing and then shoot it. I don't know how the time actually compares. It feels like Smoke's more quickly, because go from gun to throw back to the gun, whereas with Tachanka, you gun to the launcher, shoot it, put the launcher away, back to the gun. Okay, it's a little bit different. It's just harder to apply consistently and effectively compared to Smoke, so I'm taking it off the list. Then we have Jaeger, and like honestly, like, yeah, I mean, a lot of people watching this probably know it's probably going to be Jaeger is the answer for defenders. It's just the best. It's been proven time and time again since the beginning of the game. He's like just always ridiculously high pick rate, not only at pro play but also at lower levels of play, and maybe not the low levels, but even going down. And part of this in the past was originally when he came out, he was a 3-speed and he had just the best gun on well, arguable. I'm gonna take a drink of water. Give me just 1 second. And yeah, like, could I cut that out of the video, me drinking the water? Sure, but I don't think you hear it, right? What, you know, I probably won't cut it out. Maybe I will. We'll see if you hear this or not. Yeah, Jaeger was a 3-speed. He had a great gun. And again, like, well, way back when shotguns were crazy. So was it, you know, the M10 that was actually the best gun? And then the MP7 was also really good, but it was an assault rifle on defense. It's hard to beat. It's very good. You got a lot of ammo. It had, because back then SMGs had even worse caliber-based destruction, I think. Like, you had to dump like your entire SMG mag to make a tiny hole, whereas Jaeger could make a pretty big hole with, like, you know, half his mag or 2/3 his mag or something. Okay, so, and then his gadget's been nerfed, his gun's been nerfed, but still the gadget is the reason people take him, because the gun is still good, but it is not the easiest gun to use anymore. He's staying on the list. He's probably going to be the last one standing. We'll see at the end. Valkyrie and Mira are the two big band defenders for the most part, and for good reason. Valkyrie, like, I'm surprised she's remained unchanged in this way for the longest time. She used to have 4 cameras, if you can believe that. There's been calls to maybe make it so she can't throw the cameras outside, and I think that's probably a good change. It's just like, does that need to be an aspect of the game? Maybe, maybe not. I think, I always think that, like, before you do that, maybe just make it so the blue ring is, like, always on, or some color, and then it changes color when the defenders are actually on it. Just make it easier to see. Like, I don't know. Like, I think that'd be a good change. It'd probably bring her ban rate down quite a bit. Hard to say for, I mean, some amount probably, but maybe not significantly. Valkyrie, I'll leave there for a little bit. Mira also similarly banned. Mira's almost just almost never bad. And this, well, it might never be bad, actually. Sometimes it's okay, and sometimes it's amazing. And when it's amazing, usually she's banned out on those maps. Really, really good on, like, Villa, and she used to be just, on Coastline, she was thought of to be the only thing that could make the penthouse theater objective viable. And, I mean, she's really good on Oregon. She's good in a lot of places. Okay, but, like, Bank, well, it was one of the main ways to hold the bottom floor, because you could so easily plant in that one spot coming in from server, but you could use the Mira in addition to, like, C4s and smoke canisters. I guess you can do without the Mira, but it makes it easier. Okay, I'll leave it there for a minute. Let's move over here. Aruni. It's just, like, it's a good gadget, and part of Aruni's value is the fact that, well, she has the DMR, if you like the DMR, but she has the Roni, which people love the Roni, and she has the punch thing, which is good. She doesn't have very good secondary gadgets, but the rest of her kit is very good. I don't think the primary gadget is good enough. I just wanted to talk about her for a moment. Wamai, for some reason, pros ban Wamai instead of Jaeger when they want to ban one of these. I mean, sometimes they ban it, but usually when they want to ban Jaeger or Wamai, they ban Wamai. And before, he used to have a deployable shield, so it made a lot of sense. Why do they do it now? Wamai got banned, or not, Wamai got nerfed. Kind of like Jaeger did, not in the same way, but he also got nerfed. He lost one of his discs, and Jaeger got the thing where the ADS operates on a time basis rather than like a count basis, where it just destroyed 2 things and then it was inactive permanently. Wamai, I mean, the reason I think pros ban Wamai instead is because they're used to playing Jaeger. Like, I mean, I guess they assume that the other team likes Wamai more than they do, or just they really like Jaeger but not Wamai as much, or I don't know. For some reason they do it. But anyways, you gotta imagine that Jaeger's is the better one, strictly speaking. Wamai has the MP5K with the 1.5 sight, which is nice. It's an easier gun to use, certainly, than Jaeger's gun, which does not have the 1.5 sight and has a lot less manageable recoil these days. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna take Wamai off the list, but it's like close. If Jaeger wasn't in the game, it might be Wamai. And then Wamai also has the factor of, if you die very early in the round, you lose out on some of his utility. You won't generate the max number of magnets. Goyo, he doesn't get picked that much, but he does have his uses. He's a strong niche operator for sure. He was very powerful when he had 3 shields, and he's still powerful now. He has extra C4. He has a good gun if you like the Vector. It's not the easiest gun to use, but very high rate of fire. Is nice in some respects. But the reason for the X here is, yeah, sure, it's a good gadget, but I was also thinking, like, maybe there's some factor of the way I set up this scenario that makes Goyo more appealing, like the fact that you can only bring up to 2 shields. Like otherwise, I mean, maybe some lineup you want to bring 3 shields, but realistically with the operators that the shield is still on, you don't really do that. Like you bring a smoke, and then if you want another shield, you bring like a frost or an alibi or whatever, maybe a warden if that's your setup. But anyways, I just wanted to mention this. Goyo off the list. Cade, yeah, it's a strong gadget. It does what it does better than anything else. Certainly a lot better than the Mute Jammer does now, but it did it better than it before, but the Mute Jammer did other things as well. And it's better than Bandit, but you know, Kaid's a 1-speed with a worse gun than Bandit, and they both have a C4, and you know, Kaid's got the better gadget, much better gadget. But I don't think it quite competes. Like, it's just some objective, it's not even that useful. Some objectives really powerful though. So now we're down to 5 as well. I haven't talked about Maestro yet, so I suppose let's discuss him really quickly. Right, so if you make Maestro a 2-speed, it's better than being a 1-speed, okay? But if you normalize everyone's guns, then you are losing out on the perks of having one of the best guns on defense, which Maestro does, and also having one of the more useful secondary guns, which he also does. He has the Keratos, the revolver, which is good, but also the Bailiff is the main thing. He has access to impacts or barbed, but so he has one of the better secondary gadgets, one of the better secondary weapons, one of the better primary weapons, one of the better gadgets. But is the gadget that good? It's pretty good. If the attacking lineup is sort of starved of explosives relative to the number of things they need to explode. But that's usually not the case anymore, and I don't think that really changes too much in the hypothetical either. So I suppose I'll take him off the list. I guess I'll just narrow down defenders and then go back to attackers. So who's it gonna be? Okay. So I said the best, but again, I tried to divide the one that would see the most play. Is Jaeger's ADS system? Okay, I'm gonna narrow it down. I think it's between Smoke and Jaeger, and that's just like historical. That since the beginning of the game, Smoke and Jaeger they're just them dudes. They're really good for their kits in their entirety, and and also for their gadgets in particular. Valkyrie and Mira are just like probably the 2 best intel operators on defense, and intel is very good. There's no like bad intel operator, right? Like Maestro's really good, Echo's also pretty good, and then I guess Mozzie kind of counts, but that's only if you capture a drone. Goyo's sort of an intel operator because you look through the slits of the shield, but not too much really. And then like you can argue Cap Can's an intel operator because you get intel on their location when they blow up a thing or shoot a thing, but yeah, okay. Visibility and whatever. Okay, you get what I'm saying, right? Jaeger or Smoke? I guess I'm gonna go with Jaeger. I think a lot of the draw of Smoke, in addition to his gadgets, is still the fact that it is the rest of his kit. The rest of his kit is more appealing than Jaeger's. Smoke has a deployable shield, whereas Jaeger only gets the barbed wire or camera. He doesn't even get access to C4 or impacts. Smoke has a better, maybe not a better primary weapon, but certainly a better primary secondary combination in the shotgun or FMG, whichever, and then the FMG also has a 1.5 sight, it's quite good. And then he has the SMG secondary, and Jaeger just has a regular pistol and then like a pretty good gun anymore, but the damage got nerfed and the recoil got nerfed and the mag got nerfed, and it's all over the place. But I'm gonna go with Jaeger for the best primary gadget on defense. Let's move back to attack and I guess look at Flores a little bit. Flores is weird because it seemed like he might have got nerfed or something before he got into pro play, because it seemed really, really good, and it is really, really good, and people don't deal with it. They don't deal with it that effectively. And how do you deal with it? You take Mute or Mozzie, or you shoot it, or you do not bring things to blow up, or that's pretty much all you can do. That's the only ways to interact with it, right? Like there's not anything else much you can do. And there are a lot of situations where you usually want to have your gadget. You don't get a lot of time to shoot the thing, like once you realize it's coming at you. You just have to be ready for it in a way. But the way things have played out in pro play, it doesn't. I think it would have needed to see more play already for me to consider it for number 1. So let's take it off there. Now I didn't really talk about Kali or Nomad, did I? So Kali, this is much overlooked, and I hadn't even thought about it too much before somebody posted on Reddit about it, on the thread that I alluded to. that will be in the comments if you're interested, or not the comments, maybe the description. Callie's gadget is insane if you think about it. Like, imagine Callie has an assault rifle. She also has a good secondary. Like, that's one of the best secondaries you can have. It's just a fully automatic submachine gun, right? So, and it might be the second best one. It might be the best after the SMG-11. Like, it's probably better than the SMG-12 and the C-75. Maybe. Possibly. Probably. I think so. And as a primary gun, it might even be better than the SMG-11 because it's got a few extra bullets and it's got the low rate of fire so the mag doesn't dump as quickly, and I think it's got a little bit more manageable recoil. But, right, Callie's gadget, I think I did mention earlier, though, like, you can blow things up with it, and it can go through walls. Like, if they have batteries on the wall, if they have a jammer on the wall, you can blow it up. If they have the electric claw in certain positions, you can't blow it up in this way. But in a lot of, if it's just like on the wall, he'll just blow it up. You could shoot it at a deployable shield. You can blow up, like, I mean, I think I said it all earlier, but right, you can throw up banshees. You could clear an Aruni. You could, you know, disable an Aruni gate. You can blow up a Goyo shield. You can, if you know, like, there's a Mozzie pest around the corner, you could blow that up. An alibi, like, it just blows so many things up, and you get 3 of them. With Ash, you only get 2. With Zofia, you only get 2 explosives and 2 other rounds, but you get 3 explosives and it goes through walls. And if I'm being honest right now, I thought I had it picked out which one I was gonna pick before. Now I'm sort of questioning it. So Nomad, I think, is not it. I think she's gonna be really high because it's just the best flank watch area of denial thing attack has. It's better than Gridlock and Zero, certainly, but it's just not as integral to the winning of a round and to advancing of your strategy as soft breach, hard breach, and explosives are, which are the things that are encompassed here. Explosives, soft breach, hard breach. Right. So which one gets picked the most? I mean, I think, and this might be controversial because I think people believe that it's gonna be Habana. Man, this video is so long. It's like over 30 minutes, but I think this is actually like a very interesting one. I think we'll see. If you agree, let me know, because, you know, you must think so if you've been listening for 32 minutes. I'm eliminating Habana. I don't. It's probably. Hard breach is the most important gadget, and it is the best of the hard breach gadgets, but there are 4 hard breach gadgets, and, well, 4 primary hard breach gadgets and a secondary hard breach gadget, right? Habana's the best, but I think, yeah, I think just because there's 4, like, sometimes Habana's not that good. If there's just no hatches to be opened, and you need a big hole in a wall, like, you want thermite, and if you want somewhere sort of in between, not for hatches, but if you need to open like a pretty big wall, but you want to be a little bit safer while doing it, and you want to do it 3 times, you pick Ace, sure. So I'm gonna take off Habana, and I mean, I hope you understand my reasoning. Callie or Buck? Right, so Buck I think is a little bit low key because I don't think people don't think about Buck too much, because Sledge's pick rate is like 50, 60, 70%, and Buck's pick rate is like 10 or 20% generally, something like that. Maybe I'm pulling those numbers out of my ass, but I do remember I did some sort of stats a little bit ago and Sledge was like 5 times his pick, like at, you know, around 70, and Buck was around 15. Some NAL something or other, can't recall exactly. But if we're in my hypothetical scenario here, where all these things, you know, 2 speed, 2 armor, and the up to 2 of any one secondary gadget and all this stuff, aren't you taking Buck's skeleton key every single round? Like, why would you not? Okay, you can shoot open walls, you can shoot open ceiling, you can shoot open floors. Sledge has a little bit added utility in that it can destroy hard gadgets. Like, if you get close to an evil eye, you can hit it with the hammer, and you can destroy barbed wire in 1 hit with the hammer. And, well, Malusi's gadget you can already melee. Well, yeah, actually, is there not? I feel like there's another use case or two, like specific gadgets. Oh, well, and it's much better against castle barricades. The skeleton key does nothing to it. But I think that's it for those. I guess you can melee, right? A deployable shield, but at the point that you reach a deployable shield, you don't really need to blow it up anymore. You don't need to destroy it. Because you've already, right, you just don't need. So I guess it's mostly for the castle barricade and the Maestro evil eye situation. But other than that, Like, they do mostly the same things. They both destroy floors, but Buck's gadget also destroys ceilings. Sledges can technically, but only in very specific places where you can stand on something to reach the ceiling. And Buck's gadget, you can open a hole in the wall and be not vulnerable much more quickly. You could switch off of it much more quickly and be ready, be gun up. And also, you don't have to be right next to the surface that you're destroying. You can be like standing on something and shooting down to open a floor. You can be standing a little bit back and opening a wall. And Callie's gadget is really, really strong, but I don't know. I think it's one of these two. I think Callie's gadget is just so good, but I think it's Buck. I think you take it like every round, unless you know they're taking castle or you suspect they're taking castle. I think that's about it. Because right, again, remembering that we don't care that Sledge's kit usually has frags and Buck's doesn't, because that's not the case in this hypothetical. So that's it, I think. This is what I'm going with for now. Maybe if I see something really compelling, I'll change, and maybe I'll mention it in the comments if I change my mind or make a follow-up video or whatever. But for now, I'm gonna go with Buck, and I'm gonna go with Jaeger as the most picked primary gadget for attackers and defenders respectively under these given conditions. And this was Critical Siege Theory number 7.